Bonjour, I'm Pierre from French Moments, and in this video I'll take you for a walk through the streets of the hilltop village of Lacoste in Provence. For this exploration, we'll start from the church square at the entrance to the village and climb the steep streets that lead up to the castle. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It really supports the channel and helps us bring more amazing content to you. Also, if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Let's begin our tour at the church of Saint-Trophime, which stands at the northern entrance to the village. I'm currently on the Chemin de Saint-Véran, coming from the car park Parking Paysager near the cemetery, 5 minutes from here. The church of Saint-Trophime is located outside the medieval walls. The church was founded in 1123 and its oldest parts date back to the 12th and 13th centuries. This is the Place de l'Église, where you'll find the entrance to the church and the tourist office. From the Place de l'Église, there are two ways to discover the village. Most visitors go up the Rue Saint-Trophime on the right, and others, like us, will follow the Rue Basse to the Place de la Mairie, and from there will gradually climb up to the castle before returning down to the Place de l'Église via the Rue Saint-Trophime. We will pass under the Porte Moderne, which dates from the 16th century. This simple arch was pierced through the ramparts and leads to the Place de la Mairie. On the right is the village's convenience store, and on the left is Scad Fash. As you explore the village of Lacoste, you'll see the word Scad numerous times. It stands for the Savannah College of Art and Design, which has renovated and occupies many of the village's landmark buildings. In the 1970s, American painter Bernard Frame fell in love with Lacoste and its region. He set up an art school, which was taken over in 2002 by SCAD, the American Arts University based in Georgia. Today, the Lacoste campus welcomes more than 80 students every term in 8-week sessions to study visual arts, architecture, and photography. This is the Place de l'Ancien Temple. Here stood the Protestant temple, which was destroyed by order of Louis XIV in 1665. Lacoste is a village exposed to the sun in the morning and the shade in the afternoon, and is also protected from the mistral wind. As I'm recording this video during a late afternoon walk, most streets we'll cross will be in the shade. We arrive at the Place de la Mairie at the very south of the village. On this square is the town hall. If you turn left, you'll come to the charming terrace of the Café de France with its incredible view of the Luberon and the village of Beaunieu. Let's retrace our steps, keeping an eye out for traffic. We're on a busy road that crosses the lower part of the village between Beaunieu and Ménherbe. We'll now begin our ascent to the old village by taking the Rue du Four. Lacoste is a charming medieval village steeped in history. This little gem in Provence is famous for its castle, once home to the notorious Marquis de Sade. Perched on a hill, Lacoste treats you to stunning views of the Luberon. As you stroll up and down the cobbled streets, you'll get a snapshot of traditional Luberon villages with well-maintained stone houses. Here we are at the intersection with the Rue Sainte-Trophine. It's time to catch our breath while admiring the picturesque atmosphere of the place. Here's the old bakery. The sign on the facade have faded with age. Let's continue along the Rue Sainte-Trophine as far as the Belfry. We'll walk past 16th century facades still inspired by medieval architecture and gardens created on the site of destroyed houses. Before climbing up to the castle via the belfry, let's continue straight ahead on the Rue de la Frescado to view the Protestant temple. From the 15th century to the beginning of the 16th century, the village gradually became depopulated, forcing the local lord to bring in Waldensian families in 1533. However, the Waldensians had rallied to the Protestant Reformation, and persecution was organized against them by the Parliament of Aix in 1545. The village was raided, the land confiscated, and the villagers killed, whether Protestants or Catholics. The massacre of Lacoste is said to be one of the most horrific of the persecution of the Waldensians in the Luberon. The devastated village was gradually rebuilt over the course of the 17th century, and despite the terrible events of the wars of religion, a large Protestant community remained in Lacoste over the following centuries. The current Protestant church was built in 1885. The building had not been used as a church since 1976 and has become a multi-purpose hall for the commune. Let's retrace our steps and go back under the fortified gate. This fortified gateway is called the Portail des Chèvres and dates back to the 14th and 15th centuries. It opened the medieval town to the south and was the upper entrance to Lacoste. In front of us is the Lacoste Belfry, which dates back to 1550 but was restored in 1793. Let's go under the belfry and take the lane that will take us to the castle. The belfry marked the entrance to the Lord's domain, that is the castle. This area was protected by its own walls. The clock tower is crowned by a magnificent wrought iron campanile, which we will admire from above. Now the climb up to the castle has really begun. While we're climbing up to the castle, let's talk history. We know that the quarries next to the castle provided the materials needed to build the Roman cities of Apt and Cavaillon. Roman artifacts and Greek amphories have been found there. The first mention of Lacoste dates back to 1038 with the phrase Castrum de Costae. The name is derived from costa, Latin for coast. The lords of Agult-Simian took possession of the village at the end of the 11th century. In the Middle Ages, the village grew around a major attraction, its castle, which proudly dominates the surrounding Luberon countryside. Lacoste was in Provence, unlike the neighboring towns of Beaulieu and Ménherbe, which were part of the Comtat Venessin, that was papal lands. The town became part of the Kingdom of France in 1481, at the same time as the county of Provence. We are not far from the summit, and we can see the first defensive structures of the castle. Now we are on the castle esplanade, which is open all year round, and in front of me is the west facade of the castle. Let's head closer to the castle. This statue is one of the group of modern statues next to the castle, interpreting the works of the Marquis de Sade. In the distance, you can see the hilltop village of Beaulieu, and to the right, the Petit Luberon mountain range. The castle belonged to the lords of Simian until the 16th century. In 1716, Isabelle Simian left it to her cousin Gaspard François de Sade. This man was also the grandfather of Donatien Alphonse François, known as the Marquis de Sade, also known in French as the Marquis Divin. This sulphurous 18th century writer spent many years in prison for his deviant and corrupt writings. In 1766, Sade undertook the restoration and embellishment of the castle, but made only brief visits to Lacoste. This statue of the Marquis de Sade was created by the Russian sculptor Alexander Burganov. It is a reminder of the Marquis de Sade's visit to Lacoste. The green space is vast, and when the sun isn't shining too hard and the wind isn't blowing too hard, it's a lovely place to have a picnic. And here's the breathtaking panoramic view over the Luberon. You can see the Calavon Valley, the Mont Vaucluse, Mont Ventoux, and the hilltop village of Beaulieu. We'll return to the village by the same route we took before, but to do so, we'll pass through the moat that once protected access to the castle. The site was plundered during the French Revolution. Throughout the 19th century, the castle was passed hand to hand, gradually being demolished and its materials reused in some of the village's houses. The castle was saved from ruin in 2001 by the famous fashion designer and businessman Pierre Cardin, who undertook a partial restoration. You can visit the interior to admire furniture from the couturier's private collection, brought back from his many trips to India, China, and Italy, as well as contemporary works of art.
Le plus gros parce que le plus bas,
The cobbled streets of Lacoste can be slippery in the rain. When you walk downhill, be careful not to slip and wear comfortable shoes. As you can see, Lacoste is not a village for stilettos or flip-flops. Let's go back under the belfry and turn left down the rue Saint-Tropime towards the Place de l'Église. In the 20th century, famous artists discovered the village of Lacoste. André Breton, Max Ernst, Pablo Picasso, and René Char. As I mentioned earlier, fashion designer Pierre Cardin bought the castle of Lacoste in 2001. He continued the restoration work begun by the previous owner, turning it into a residence. Pierre Cardin created a summer festival dedicated to theatre and opera. But not everyone was happy with the presence of the great couturier, and a certain controversy flared up among the villagers. Some criticized Pierre Cardin for having bought 40 or so houses, in other words, a third of the village. Some were used as showcases for works of art, but most remained uninhabited. Then Pierre Cardin put his mark on Lacoste, wanting to make it a Saint-Tropez of culture without the showbiz. This is the Portail de la Garde. It is a fortified gate of medieval origin. It was rebuilt at the same time as the village walls in the second half of the 16th century. And here we are at the very bottom of the old village, back on the Place de l'Église. As for me, I'm going to get back to my car at the parking paysager by walking back along the Chemin de Saint-Véran. If you're watching this on YouTube and you've been to this part of Provence, I'd love to hear about your experiences in Lacoste. Drop a comment below and tell us what you loved about it. We're back where we started, and that's the end of our discovery walk through Lacoste. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Lacoste in Provence. I've truly enjoyed sharing this journey with you. Stay tuned for more exciting adventures ahead. À bientôt!